101. Seriously, just let that number sink in for a second. In modern international football, where defenses are insanely tight and the margin for error is virtually zero, hitting 100 goal involvements for your national team, that's almost mythical. But we aren't just talking about history today, guys. We're literally watching it unfold in real time. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down what looked like, a pretty standard 2-0 quarterfinal win for France over Morocco at the 2026 World Cup. But when you really look closer, when you peel back the layers of the data, you realize we're witnessing something of unprecedented, absolute, historical magnitude. So let's dive right in and translate these staggering stats into the story of a team and a player completely rewriting the record books.
Section 1. A quarterfinal to remember. France versus Morocco. So, to really grasp the gravity of these records, we've got to set the scene. France booked their ticket to the semis to face either Spain or Belgium, but getting past Morocco was, well, it was a weird, wildly entertaining, chaotic mess of a game. Definitely not your typical methodical knockout match. Just to show you how strange that first half was, check out this number, 1.87. That was France's expected goals, or XG, in just the first 45 minutes. That is literally the highest expected goals tally by any team failing to actually score in the first half of a 2026 World Cup match. France was knocking relentlessly, but the universe, and one guy in particular, just said no.
And a huge reason for that shutout? Morocco's phenomenal goalkeeper, Yassine Bounou. He didn't just make crazy open play saves. He stared down a penalty and won. That's a staggering achievement all on its own. Including shootouts, Bounou has now saved 4 career World Cup penalties. That ties him for the absolute most of any goalkeeper since 1966. When you're facing the most lethal attackers in the world from 12 yards out, saving 4, that's legendary stuff. Real quick before we hit the main event, I have to toss in this fun, quirky little anomaly the data threw at us. France has now won 6 World Cup matches officiated by Argentinian referees. 6. That's the most of any nation in the history of the tournament. I mean, it doesn't mean much for tactics, sure, but it's one of those beautiful, weird statistical quirks that makes tracking World Cup history so much fun. Moving on to Section 2, Mbappé's weird, historic match, the rare trifecta. All right, let's get into the heart of this explainer, Kylian Mbappé. What's fascinating here is how a moment of really high-profile failure birthed an incredibly rare statistical anomaly. Walk through this bizarre sequence with me. First, he steps up to the spot and misses a penalty, saved by Bounou. And this wasn't just any miss, either. It snapped a 15-kick streak of consecutive penalty conversions for France that dated all the way back to Euro 2020 against Switzerland. But how does he respond? He comes out, scores a goal on the hour mark, and then just 6 minutes later assists another. Miss a penalty, score a goal, assist a goal. Boom, boom, boom. Now, the crucial point here is how incredibly rare this exact sequence of events actually is. Achieving this specific trifecta, scoring, assisting, and missing a pen in a single World Cup match has only happened 4 times in the last 60 years. Think about that for a second. Think about all the games, the drama, the absolute legends who've played since 1966. Only 4 times. But here is the truly absurd part. The timing. Of those 4 occurrences in the last 6 decades, 2 of them happened this week. No way, right? Just days ago, Lionel Messi did the exact same thing against Egypt, and now Kylian Mbappé does it against Morocco. It is honestly as if the football gods are explicitly linking these 2 guys together in the data. Section 3. Chasing Messi for the crown, the ultimate rivalry. And that wild coincidence is honestly the perfect pivot point to talk about the escalating battle defining this entire tournament. Mbappé versus Messi for World Cup supremacy. They are matching each other step for step. In the 2026 Golden Boot standings right now, Mbappé has just snatched the lead back from Messi. They're both sitting on a ridiculous 8 goals. But because of that assist Mbappé grabbed against Morocco, he now has 3 assists to Messi's 1, which gives him the edge in the tiebreaker. This is an incredibly tight heavyweight race, and it's coming down to the absolute wire. But it's not just about this one tournament, right? Contrast their current Golden Boot standing with their all-time career World Cup goals. Messi currently sits at 21 career World Cup goals. Mbappé, with his strike against Morocco, has now reached 20. It's crazy to see it visually, just how closely Mbappé is breathing right down Messi's neck for that all-time crown. Section 4. The next Ronaldo and Rivaldo? The dynamic duo. Now, Mbappé isn't doing this in a vacuum.
He's forming a terrifying partnership. Check out this direct, nostalgic parallel. You've got Mbappé with 8 goals and Ousmane Dembélé, who just scored his 5th goal of the tournament in this very match. They're the first pair of teammates to each score 5 or more goals in a single World Cup since 2002. And you know who the last duo to do it was? The legendary Brazilian partnership of Ronaldo, who had 8, and Rivaldo, who had 5. Mbappé and Dembélé are literally matching one of the most iconic attacking forces in football history, note for note. Actually, scratch that. It goes even deeper. If we add Michael Elise to the equation, this modern French trio has a staggering 23 goal involvements so far in this tournament. Compare that to the iconic Brazilian 3Rs, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho, who had 20 goal involvements when they won the whole shebang back in 2002. This 2026 French trio hasn't just matched the legends, they've actually surpassed them in total tournament output. Absolutely wild.
Section 5. Les Bleus make history. The broadest view. Okay, let's zoom out to the macro level now. Beyond just the attackers, look at the staggering legacy of this French team as a collective unit. They're just a well-oiled machine shattering these historical milestones rapid fire. This victory over Morocco was France's 45th all-time World Cup win, tying them for 4th most in history with Italy. But more importantly, it makes them only the 3rd nation ever to reach 3 consecutive World Cup semifinals: 2018, 2022, and now 2026. They join the absolute dynastic ranks of Germany and Brazil as the only countries to ever achieve this level of sustained, multi-tournament dominance. I do want to take a super brief detour here to acknowledge a piece of history from the other side of the pitch. Morocco's Ayoub Bouadi stepped onto the field at just 18 years old and 280 days old. He just became the 2nd youngest player to ever play in a World Cup quarterfinal. The only player to do it at a younger age, Pelé back in 1958. I mean, that is some incredible company to keep and a massive bright spot for Morocco's future for sure. Returning to France, the consistency of their run is really anchored by their leadership. This quarterfinal was Mbappé's 20th World Cup match, playing under manager Didier Deschamps. That sets an absolute all-time record for a player with the exact same coach at the World Cup. It just highlights this profound level of stability and mutual trust that is honestly incredibly rare in the volatile world of international football. Let's move to our final sequence here and watch how this builds, because Mbappé is currently on a rapid-fire run of escalating individual records. We're going to start with the number 8. Mbappé has now scored the winning goal in 8 World Cup matches. That is the outright most of any player in the entire history of the tournament. When the game is on the line, no one in history has delivered the final blow more often, period. Let's build the drumbeat a bit. 11. Mbappé has 11 goal contributions in this 2026 tournament alone. That's the most by anyone in a single World Cup since Gerd Muller posted 13 all the way back in 1970. He's also the first player since 1966 to have double-digit goal contributions in 2 separate World Cups, since he grabbed 10 in 2022. Escalating the energy even further. 14. He now has 14 career knockout stage goal contributions. This is the business end of the tournament, right? Where the pressure is at its absolute highest, and he's tied with Lionel Messi for the most knockout stage goal contributions in the last 60 years. Which brings our momentum to a climax, returning right back to the exact number we started this explainer with, 101. 64 goals and 37 assists. Kylian Mbappé is officially the first player ever to reach 100-plus goal involvements for the French national team. He isn't just a great player having a great tournament. He is completely redefining what is possible in a French shirt. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. As we look at the shattered records, the terrifying partnerships, and the relentless consistency, you really have to ask yourself, are we witnessing the greatest World Cup player of all time? He's tracking down Messi's goal records, he's surpassing Brazilian legends, and the craziest part, he's still in the prime of his career. Keep watching, because by the end of this tournament, he just might officially dethrone them all. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, guys, and I'll see you next time as we continue to break down the biggest stories through the data.